In this video, let's take a look at adding fractions that have uncommon denominators together. Now, another word for adding is we're going to be finding the sum of these fractions. Just keep in mind that we need common denominators in order to add fractions, and afterwards, if we can simplify, we definitely will. Okay. So for number one, we have this fraction of 3/5 and we have 2/3. So we have different denominators here, so we can't just go ahead and add them right away. So we have to go ahead and find out the first time 5 and 3 meet. So I'm going to go ahead and use this ladder method or this cake method to figure out the first time when 5 and 3 meet. And if you can do this already in your head, great. But I think the only thing that goes into both of them is 1. That's their common factor. 1 times 5 is 5 and 1 times 3 is 3. So I believe that's as far as we can go. So now we can go ahead and multiply these outside numbers. This 1 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 3 is going to be 15. So it turns out that LCM, or we can go ahead and say the LCD here, the LCD, or the first time these two numbers are going to meet, is going to be 15. So we go ahead and take this 3 and put it over 5, and we go ahead and add this 2 over 3. Let's go ahead and get common denominators here. So 5 times 3 is going to be 15. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 3 times 5 will be 15. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top as well. Okay, so if we go ahead and do this, 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So we're going to have 9 over this 15. Then we can go ahead and add on 2 times 5. That's going to be 10. So that's going to be 10 over this 15. So we just rewrote these fractions using common denominators. We're going to put them both over 15. We can go ahead and add here this 9 plus the 10. Now we can just go ahead and add 9 plus 10. That's going to be 19. So we're going to have 19 over 15. I think that's our final answer just because 19 and 15 are relatively prime, or their GCF is equal to 1. But if you wanted to go ahead and write a mixed number, we can also say this is going to be 1 and 4/15. So either way, we could write 19/15 or 1 and 4/15. They're both good answers. All right, let's take a look at number 2. For number 2, we have 3/8 and we also have this 2/3. So notice that we have different denominators here. So we want to figure out when these two numbers meet for the first time. 8 and 3, let's see, I think their only common factor here is going to be 1. 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 3 is 3. So then if we go ahead and just multiply 1 by 8 by 3, that should be the first time they meet. 1 times 8 times 3 is going to be 24. So the LCD, or the least common denominator here, is going to be 24. So we take this 3/8 and we take this 2/3. Let's go ahead and rewrite these fractions so they have a denominator of 24. 8 times 3, if we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 3 times 8, do the top and bottom. So rewriting these fractions, we're going to get 9 over, 24, which is making sense because we want 24, plus 2 times 8 is going to be 16. So we're going to have 16 over 24. All right, so we rewrote the fractions. They have common denominators now. So we're just going to go ahead and add 9 plus 16 since they have the same denominator and keep that over 24. 9 plus 16 is 25, so I believe we're going to have 25 over 24. That's going to be our final answer as an improper fraction. As a mixed number, we can also say this is 1 and 1/24. So either one of these answers are good. Let's take a look at number 3. For number 3, we have this fraction of 1/8, and we're going to be adding 5/6 onto it. They have different denominators here, so let's go ahead and figure out when is the first time they meet, or the least common denominator. For 8 and 6, I think 2 is a common factor. 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6. Now 4 and 3 have nothing in common, so if we go ahead and multiply these outside numbers, we're going to get the LCD. 2 times 4 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24. So the least common denominator, the first time these numbers meet, is going to be 24. So rewriting these fractions, we have 1/8 plus this 5/6. If we're going to try to get this 24 here, how are we going to do that? Well, 6 times 4 is 24, and 8 times 3 is 24. So let's multiply this 8 by 3 on top and bottom, and take the 5/6 and multiply it by 4 on top and bottom. Okay. Doing that, we can rewrite these fractions as 3 over this 24. That's the same thing as 1/8. Plus, we can add this 20 over 24, which is the same thing as this 5/6, so 20 over 24. So we have common denominators of 24 now, so that's good. We can go ahead and add these fractions, and we're just going to go ahead and add 3 plus 20 for the numerators, and I believe that's just 23. So we're going to get 23 over 24, and that can't be simplified, so this would be our final sum here, or the final answer to this addition problem. For number 4, we have this fraction of 3/5, and we're adding this 3/7. So notice they have uncommon denominators, so we have to rewrite these with the same denominator. So we have 5 and 7. Let's see, they have nothing in common, so we just have 1 and a 5 and a 7. So if they have nothing in common, technically you can just multiply them together. 1 times 5 times 7. So the first time these numbers meet is going to be at 35. Okay, so let's go ahead and see, can we rewrite these fractions so they have that common denominator? So we have 3/5 plus this 3/7. To get the denominator of 35, 5 would have to multiply by 7, so do it top and bottom, and 7 would have to multiply by 5, so do that top and bottom as well. Our newly written fractions are going to be 21 over 35, and we're going to be adding on 3 times 5 is going to be 15 over this 35 as well. Now that we have these common denominators, we can go ahead and add these fractions. So we have denominator of 35, and on top we have 21 added with 15. 21 plus 15 is going to be 36. So we're going to have 36 over 35, which can't be simplified, but as a mixed number, you can say this is 1 and 1/35 if you wanted to write it as a mixed number instead. Okay, here is number 5. For number 5, we have 5/9 plus 1/6. We can't add these together right now just because they have uncommon denominators. So let's figure out when 9 and 6 meet for the first time. 9 and 6 have a common factor of 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. I think 3 and 2 don't have anything else in common. So if we multiply these numbers, we should get the first time they meet. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So the LCD here is going to be 18, or the first time these two numbers meet. All right, so we have this 5/9. We're going to be adding 1/6. And how are we going to get those denominators of 18? Well, 6 times 3 is 18, and 9 times 2 is 18. So we're going to multiply this first fraction by 2 over 2, and multiply the second fraction by 3 over 3. If we do that, our newly written fractions are going to be 10 over this 18, and the second fraction is going to be 3 over 18. Okay, so we have these common denominators, and we can go ahead and add them together. So 10 plus 3 is going to be on top, and that's going to be on top of 18. And so 10 plus 3 is going to be 13. So I believe 13/18, just this proper fraction, would be our final answer. Okay, for number 6, we have 1/4, and we're going to be adding 5/6. So they have different denominators here. So let's go ahead and see if we can find out the first time they meet. So 4 and 6, they have a common factor of 2 because they're both even numbers. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. I think 2 and 3 don't have anything in common anymore, or their GCF is 1. So if we multiply these outer numbers, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. So the first time these two numbers meet is going to be at 12. So let's go ahead and rewrite these fractions. So we have 1/4, and then we have 5/6. Let's see if we want to make them both have a denominator of 12. 6 times 2 is 12, 4 times 3 is 12. So let's multiply this first fraction by 3 over 3, and multiply the second fraction by 2 over 2. All right, so this first fraction, we're going to get 3 over 12. And for the second fraction, we're going to be adding on 10 over 12. If we go ahead and add these now, because they have common denominators, then the top is just going to say 3 plus 10. That's going to be 13, right? So we're going to have 13 over 12. And you can leave it like that if you want as an improper fraction, but as a mixed number, we can say this is 1 and 1/12, and that's good too. Let's check out 7 and 8 here. For number 7, we have these denominators of 10 and 5, so they're different. Let's figure out when the first time they meet are going to be. So 10 and 5, I believe 5 goes into both of these, so 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 times 1 is 5. 2 and 1 have nothing else in common, so if we go ahead and multiply 5 times 2 times 1, that is going to be 10. So the first time these two numbers meet is going to be 10. So let's go ahead and take, we have 7/10. We're going to be adding this 4/5. And we need the denominators to be 10. So we can go ahead and say, okay, well, 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 times 1 is 10. So we can really multiply this first fraction by 1 over 1, and multiply the second fraction by 2 over 2. So the 7/10 is really going to stay as 7 over 10, because 10 happens to be the common denominator. And then for the 4/5, that's really going to be 8/10. So that's going to be same fraction, but with a common denominator. We're going to have this 10 on bottom. Let's go ahead and add this 7 plus 8 on top. 7 plus 8 is 15, so that's 15 over 10. I think we can go ahead and simplify this by dividing top and bottom both by 5. So if we do that, then we can say this is really going to be 3 over 2, right, as a mixed, as an improper fraction rather. So I'm going to write divided by 5 divided by 5. That was their common factor. And as a mixed number, you can also write this as 1½ So either way, we can go ahead and write 3/2 or 1½ For number 8, we have the 7/8 plus 1/6. We have uncommon denominators again, so we have 8 and 6. Let's go ahead and find out the first time they meet. Again, if you can do this in your head, you can kind of skip this part. 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6. I think 4 and 3 have nothing else in common, so if we do 2 times 4 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, then the first time these are going to meet is going to be at 24. So let's see, we have 7/8 plus we have this 1/6. Let's go ahead and see 8 times 3. Let's do times 3 top and bottom. Let's do times 4 over here. If we do that, then 7 times 3 is 21. So you have 21 over this 24. That's our common denominator. Plus, let's see, 1 times 4 is 4. So that's 4 over 24. All right, so we have common denominators. Let's go ahead and add these. Keep our denominator of 24. And we can go ahead and find the sum of 21 plus 4. 21 plus 4 is going to be 25, so it's going to be 25 24ths. That would be our final answer as an improper, but as a mix, this is going to be 1 and 1 24ths. Here is number 9. For number 9, we have 3/4 and we have 2/5. They have uncommon denominators. Let's figure out when 4 and 5 meet for the first time. Now, because they have nothing in common besides 1, then we could just multiply 4 and 5 together, and that's going to get us our LCD. So 1 times 4 times 5. The first time they meet is going to be 20. Okay, so let's go ahead and take these fractions. We have 3/4 and then we have 2/5. Let's see. To get them to both have that common denominator of 20, or LCD, let's multiply by 5 over 5 and multiply by 4 over 4. If we do that, we're going to get equivalent fractions of 15 over 20. And we're also going to get this 8 over 20 as well. Now that we have common denominators, we can go ahead and add 15 plus 8. And that's going to be over this 20. Now what is 15 plus 8? That's going to be 23. So we have 23 over 20. I believe that's going to be our final answer. Unless you want a mixed number, you can rewrite this as 1 and 3/20, and that's cool too. Moving on to number 10, we have different denominators again. So we have 5/9 and then we have 5/6. So when do 9 and 6 meet for the first time? Well, 9 and 6, they have a common factor of 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. I think that's it, and we can go ahead and multiply these together. So 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18. So the first time these numbers meet are going to be at 18. Now let's go ahead and rewrite these fractions so that they have this common denominator of that 18. So we have 5/9 and 5/6. To get 18, we can multiply by 2 over 2 for the first fraction. And to get 18, let's multiply by 3 over 3 for the second fraction. For the first one, that's going to be 10 over this 18. And then for the second fraction, I believe that's going to be 15 over this 18. All right, so we have common denominators. Let's go ahead and add them. So we have 10 plus the 15. 10 plus 15 is going to be 25. So it's going to be 25 over 10 plus 15 is going to be 25. So we have 25 over 18. And I believe that's our final answer as an improper fraction, but as a mixed number, it's going to be 1 and 7/18. Okay. All right, here is number 11. For number 11, we have 7/9. Let's go ahead and add 5/12 onto that. Let's go ahead and see when 9 and 12 meet for the first time. 9 and 12 have a common factor of 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 and 3 have nothing in common now, so if we multiply 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 4 is 36, then we know that the first time 9 and 12 meet are at 36. Let's go ahead and take this 9 on the bottom and 7 on top, and let's add this 5 on top and 12 on bottom. To get common denominators, we have to do 9 times 4, and then we have to do 12 times 3. Okay, these new fractions are going to be 28 over 36, and our second one is going to be 15 over 36. So if we get common denominators, that's going to be that 36, and we can go ahead and add these fractions now that we have common denominators. And we're going to go ahead and essentially add 28 plus 15. 28 plus that 15 is going to be 43, so we're going to get 43 over 36. I believe that's going to be our final answer. Let's go ahead and write the 36 just like that. And then as our mixed number, if we want to write this, we can say this is going to be 1 and this 7 over 36. For number 12, we have this 3/10 plus 7/15. So we have these denominators of 10 and 15. Now, when do they meet for the first time? Let's think about this for a moment. 10 and 15, they can both be divided by 5. 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now, if we go ahead and see when these meet for the first time, 5 times 2 is 10, 10 times 3 is 30. So the least common denominator here is going to be 30. Let's take this 3 over 10 and add this 7 over 15. If we want to get 30, let's multiply this first fraction by 3 over 3. And to get this to be 30, let's multiply this one by 2 over 2. So 3 times 3 is 9. We're going to get 9 over 30. That's going to be that newly written first fraction. Plus, we're going to have 14 over 30. So with common denominators now, let's go ahead and add them. We have 30 on the bottom, and then we have 9 plus the 14 on top. 9 plus 14 is 23, so we have 23 over 30. And I think that's going to be our final answer, just because 23 and 30 have nothing in common besides 1, so their GCF is 1, and we're going to be done there because it's a proper fraction. Let's check out 13 and try these last few together here. For number 13, we have 7/12, and we're adding on 5/18. So 12 and 18 are pretty big denominators here relative to what we've been doing. We want to find out the first time they meet here, so 12 and 18. I think 2 goes into both, so that's going to be 6 and 9. But 6 and 9 both have another common factor of 3. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. I think 2 and 3 have nothing else in common, so we could have done 6 in the beginning, but I just kind of wanted to show this. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 6. First time 12 and 18 meet is going to be 36. Okay, so we have 7 over 12. We are adding 5 over 18. We know that to get common denominators, we can make both of these 36 on bottom, so it's times 3 times 3, and it's times 2 times 2. If you want to know how to do that, you just take these diagonals, 18 times 2, and 12 times 3. That gets you what numbers to multiply by. 7 times 3 is 21, so we have 21 over 36. And then 5 times 2 is going to be 10, so that's going to be 10 over 36. So we can go ahead and add these. We have common denominators of 36. So what's 21 plus 10? 21 plus 10, I believe, is 31. So it's 31 over 36. And they have nothing in common, so this would be our final sum. For number 14, we have 4/15, and we're going to be adding 7/9. We have different denominators. Let's see when 15 and 9 meet for the first time. I believe 3 goes into both. 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now what do they have in common here? Let's see, just the 3, and then we have 3 times 5 is 15. 15 times 3 is 45, so the first time 15 and 9 meet is going to be at 45. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So we have 4/15, we're adding 7/9. We want to rewrite this using a denominator of 45, so it's times 3 times 3, and it's going to be times 5 times 5. 4 times 3, that's going to be 12 over this 45. And then for this 7 times 5, that's going to be 35 over this 45. All right, cool. So we have common denominators of 45. We can go ahead and add here. So let's see, 12, we're going to add 12 and 35. I believe that's going to be 47. So we're going to write 47 over 45. And 47 is prime, so it has no common factors with 45 here. But we could write this as a mixed number if we want to, and say this would be 1 and 2 45ths. So either one of these would be good final answers. Let's check out these last two, 15 and 16. For 15, we have this 11 over 18, and we're gonna be adding this 13 over 6. So let's see, we need some common denominators here, 18 and 6. Hopefully you can notice that 6 goes into 18, or 18 is a multiple of 6. So we can say this goes in 6 times. 3 times 6 is 18, 6 times 1 is 6. So let's go ahead and see here. We can't go any further. 6 times 3 is 18, 18 times 1 is 18. So the first time 18 and 6 meet is going to be at 18. So let's go ahead and see, we have 11 over 18, which already has the 18 we're looking for, and we have 13 over 6. So to keep 18 the same, let's go ahead and just multiply by 1 and 1. To make 6 18, let's multiply by 3 and 3. So we're gonna get 11 over this 18, that stayed the same essentially, plus 13 times 3 is gonna be 39 over this 18. All right, so we have common denominators here. We can go ahead and say this is gonna be 18. And on top, we're gonna have 11 plus 39. On top, 11 plus 39 is gonna be 50. So we're gonna have 50 over 18. And I think we can go ahead and simplify this. They're both even numbers, so we can divide these both by 2. So if we do that, half of 50 is 25. So it's 25 over 9. So that's our answer as an improper fraction. If you're looking for a mixed number, let's see, 2 times 9 is 18, 3 times 9 is 27, which is too much, so we'll go with 2. That's 18 with 7 left over, so it's 2 and 7/9 would be the mixed number version for this answer. All right, let's do one last one for number 16. We have 3 over 14, and we're going to be adding on 11 over 21. So let's see when 14 and 21 meet for the first time. Looks like they have a common factor of 7. 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 3 is 21. And I think that's it. So if we go ahead and multiply, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 7 is 42. So the first time 14 and 21 meet is going to be at 42. So let's go ahead and see if we can rewrite these fractions using that common denominator. So let's go ahead and rewrite these. Now 21 times 2 is 42, and 14 times 3 is 42. So let's do times 3 times 3. Let's do times 2 times 2. If we do that, we're going to get 9 over 42. And over here, we're going to get 22 over 42. Okay. If we go ahead and add these, because they have common denominators now, we can go ahead and say, what's 9 plus this 22? 9 plus 22 is going to be 31, so we have 31 over 42. And because 31's prime, I think we are just about done. We also have a proper fraction here, so we can't do anything else, and this would be our final answer. So there you have 16 different practice problems where we were adding fractions with uncommon denominators. So try to see if you can find the least common denominator, or LCD, first each time. Rewrite the fractions using those common denominators. Go ahead and add those numerators, and always simplify at the end if you can. If you want an improper fraction, leave it like what you have. And if you want a mixed number, just turn it into a mixed number. So hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and sharing with a classmate or friend who might also find it helpful. And as always, keep up the great work that you're already doing, and I'll see you in the next one.